Hello guys, my name is Patrice and I'm here again with an Apex Legends video. Sorry for not uploading for a while now, but hey, here I am man, here I am. I'm back into playing Apex and I'm gonna be making some guide videos again and just in general some videos. Well, today's video is about fuze and some tips and tricks on him. Usually I make like this full in-depth guide about like a legend, but I'm not gonna go into like too much detail this time because I think it's just a waste of time and it makes the video usually longer than 20 minutes and I would like to avoid that. So I'm gonna just do some tips and tricks and ignore all the like basic stuff. If you wanna read about, you know, like the basic what Q, what passive does, you can obviously go and read in the game. Well, let's get on with it guys. Starting with the passive. Pick up a lot of nades. Feel free to just throw away some ammo or some heals in exchange for 2 nades. Because what I usually do is I make the battlefield really chaotic. I'll just end up getting in there and spamming everything. I got all my nades, my knuckle dusters and everything, and it'll just be super oppressive on the enemy team. It ends up dealing a lot of damage and being way more consistent than, you know, trying to rely on my aim all the time. I will spam some nades and then I will shoot, or usually force the enemy out of like a position or the house that they control. You can also ask your teammates to drop some nades for you. Instead of them carrying as a 1 nade, you can carry 2, which will save space for your entire team if we count like as a slot wise for your entire team. Then it will save some space and you will just carry nades, they will carry heals instead. So it's better if your teammate carries 4 cells and you carry few nades instead of him carrying 1 nade. Also remember that with a rampage, you can have twice the amount of thermal nades. If you do like using that weapon, then it can be very effective and you can have a thermal for almost every fight. Generally, you want to save arc stars for doors, thermal nades to block entrances or first, and frags to throw inside after the door has been broken. I usually sacrifice knuckle clusters for the doors and then nade spam with frags. I recommend going into firing range and practicing throwing nades. And it's because aiming up with the guide every time and like trying to hit the perfect nade can consume a lot of time, and in that time span you could have already threw 3 or 4 nades at them. So to like make them reposition or get out into an open area really fast. But if you aim up, slowly shoot it, and they have someone like Valkyrie or Pathfinder, they'll easily move out of the way. Get comfortable with fuze's passive and fuze's knuckle duster range, so you can always spam it without actually aiming up for too long. Also, don't be afraid to use arc stars like weapon and try to stick your enemies with it that are pushing through like narrow entrances or doors. The speed you deploy the nade and the speed it flies at is faster than with any other legend. I quite often catch enemies off guard that pushing into the entrance or maybe a wraith portal or something like that, and I just arc star them right into the face. Now moving on to tactical. Tactical is almost like a free nade every 15 seconds. And it also can fly for miles away. Usually the tactical is used to break doors or oppress the enemy, but you can also use them to block paths, to corner your enemy or res your teammate. It does provide a little bit of cover, people won't really push through a knuckle cluster, and also the sound it provides just messes everything up, and in some cases the enemy won't even hear you resing or healing. Pay attention to the enemy legends. Legends like Wraith, Pathfinder, Valkyrie or Octane can usually navigate around your skill set pretty easily and avoid pretty much any damage you will output. In fights, you want to dump your tactical early on, because you want to reset the 15-second timer and have it ready mid-fight and later on. It's almost like a free nade, you spam it at the start and you shoot a little bit and it will reset with time. You won't even notice it's gone most of the time. If you are getting pursued, slap a knuckle cluster against a wall or over a doorway you are running through. For example, if you're sliding, you can just slide through and shoot it in the door frame. You will definitely have time to get out of it before the damage goes off, but the enemy will have to stop or take damage. As I said a little bit earlier, just remember, your tactical can mess with the enemy sounds. Even if they are not getting hit, but they can't hear anything, it's already worth it. It's almost like the sound of the ring. When you are right next to the ring and it just completely damps everything around, your knuckle clusters can basically do the same. On World's Edge, there's a lot of those little skinny walls that are thin enough for your tactical to do damage even through the wall or through the little gaps. So you don't actually have to land it over the wall behind the enemy, you can just stick it to the wall in front and it will do damage through the wall. And don't forget about those little vehicles that teams tend to hide in the last circles. Just spam it with nades or with knuckle cluster or whatever, just make them waste all of their heals. I usually like to take a good position in the ring and use a long range weapon to snipe and tactical to force enemies' heals out, because that will just provide the last rings with them barely having any heals or half shields. Let's move on to the mother load, which is Fuze's ultimate. The ultimate cooldown is super short. I think you should spam the ultimate in every fight, and sometimes you will even end up spamming 2 ultimates per fight. It's just super short. There's no consequences of missing your ultimate or like pressing it and you getting third partied. Boom, you already have your ult back. Don't be afraid to use the ultimate indoors. It will sometimes burn you a little bit, but in most cases, if you catch an enemy team or even one of them out, you will do a ton of damage to them and it will be super chaotic. Well, unless they're Wraith, then they can just phase out. In general though, it will usually block out half of the building, so nobody will come through there or try to push it. Usually it'll just block the half of the building and you can concentrate on the other half. If your teammate is in danger, you can always throw your ultimate blocking off the enemies, or surrounding your teammate in a safe space so they can heal up. For example, if the teammate is getting padded on, like in this video right here, my teammate was getting pushed and he was said over the voice that he's getting padded on, so I instantaneously covered him with my ultimate and gave him some time to like reposition or to heal or to hide, while the enemy was debating to push it or to back off or to how actually get over the firewall. Also, if you have a Gibraltar on your team, usually a bubble will come out at these crucial times when he's getting destroyed. You can either throw an ult to over the dome for protection and to make sure that the enemies won't push him like I did in this video. No one in his right mind will ever push a dome with a ring of fire around it. And in some cases you can even ult inside of the dome, especially if it's at the end circles and it's getting really chaotic. Quite often I use my ultimate just for the vision. A lot of the buildings are small and you can almost perfectly cover them with your ultimate. Sometimes it doesn't work and doesn't register the enemies inside, but more often it does show them through the walls and it kind of works like a consistent scan. Just be prepared that half of the legends can get out of the ultimate quite easily. But if you can at least get one enemy surrounded in the ring of fire, you're making the fight 3 versus 2. Since a lot of enemies don't actually understand that it's much better to take a little bit of damage and get out of your ultimate than just sitting there like a goblin and just waiting it over. Because your team and you constantly have a vision on him, so you can focus on the other 2 and rush them or fight them or do whatever, and it will be 3 versus 2. Or if they are far away or backed off, you can always 3 of you focus on that one guy and kill him. Same goes for countering Fuze. Do not sit inside his ultimate. Get out. Just knowing that one of them is sitting and waiting is enough to push the other 2 and making the fight favorable to the Fuze's team. Don't be afraid to take a little bit of damage and just get out of his ultimate. Always keep in mind the range of the ultimate. If you have height or horizon on your team, you can third party a team from miles away and get some free kill points for the rank. Quite often where I ended up throwing my ultimate miles away, getting about 4 or 6 damage and getting an assist from that, which would give me 1 KP in a ranked game. And if you right click, the ultimate has a crazy zoom on it. You can use it to scout enemies and generally look around. Now let's talk a little bit about team compositions. The legends that can navigate around your ultimates and your grenade spam and your knuckle cluster spam, so you won't end up accidentally slowing them or, blinding them with your ultimate or something. Usually if it's like a pathfinder, he can just grapple around your ultimate and land on the enemies and flank them, kill them, etc. Horizon, Gudie and Caustic are my personal favorites to have on a team. Caustic can place tons of traps around my position, so I can just safely snipe around the enemy, knuckle cluster, use the heals and just sit in this safe spot and constantly deal damage, get my shield up and just be annoying. Gudie is great for his bubble. Playing around his bubble is very nice with the ultimate, and his ultimate can destroy enemies that got caught in the ring of fire. Horizon can provide good advantage points with a tactical and make it easier to land good ults. And her black hole and your nade spam is very satisfying to use and at the same time are super annoying for the enemies. For Fuze counters, any trap legends don't like knuckle clusters. For example, Rampart, Watson and in some cases even Caustic, they traps will just get destroyed really fast and you know, the entire structure in the building will just get destroyed. You can also force GB Dome out quite early in a fight, which will then end up making them in a worse position after you will end up ulting them and then knuckle cluster, nades, etc. after the dome is gone. Keep in mind that anything like Seer Heart or Octane's jump pad can also be easily dealt with if you just land your tactical on them. As I've said before, any escaping legend like Wraith can easily get out of your ultimate or your knuckle cluster spam or nades, so just keep in mind what enemy has. If they have like Valkyrie that can just fly out and reposition instantly, just, you know, maybe don't waste your ultimate. But if they have someone that will be just stuck in there, even if you end up catching one of them, it's still worth it. You just have to constantly pay attention to what you're shooting, what the enemy has, and, you know, if it's a Valkyrie alone somewhere in the corner, don't shoot her with an ultimate because it will be completely pointless in most cases at the time. Remember, if you still have available tactical or ultimate, you are doing it wrong. Keep every fight as chaotic as you can. Not even as much for like damage, but more to just be annoying to the enemies and just sound blocking them. Just force the enemy to make a bad play or just to leave the cover and get out into an open. Well, this concludes our video. Thank you guys for watching, good luck in the games, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.